So we just gonna start off the podcast laughing. We're laughing because you won't be able to see this unless you're watching us on YouTube. But we were both about to welcome you to the Love You to Life podcast.
I mean, we're just so happy. We're just so happy to see y'all. That's all. We're just so happy. We're so happy.
Oh, goodness. We always happy to see y'all because we are so grateful that you're listening, and we do not take it for granted that you are sharing some time with us, whether that's while you're taking your shower, whether you're riding to work or from work, whether you're listening to us while you're cleaning the house, whatever you're doing. We appreciate you tuning in week after week, well, every other week, to the Love You to Life podcast. Cal, how you doing today? I'm Elizabeth White, and this is my sister,
Calvalyn Day.
there she go. Hey. And we are ready to get going. We got another hot fire topic for you guys today. And I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback about it after we finish this conversation. All
I
right?
mean, she coming with some hot fire because I had never even heard of this, y'all.
What? Are you kidding? You're always ahead of stuff like this.
I hadn't heard of it.
Okay.
I just hadn't heard this phrase. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
to
but
me. Okay. So we've all heard of quiet quitting, but have you heard of quiet cracking? Quiet cracking. So Cal, you had not heard of quiet
In
cracking?
the comments, I want y'all to say whether or not you actually heard about it before the podcast.
Okay. All right. So we're going to see what they say. Well, quiet cracking is a gradual, internal, just deterioration of, I'm going to say, your spirit, like the heart of you, especially as it relates to your connection in the workplace. So whether that is your engagement, whether that's your morale, if you're the person who's just like, you know what, I don't even want to see my colleagues no more. They can miss me. Don't look for me for a pitch in. I'm not coming. Or if you're like, let me just go put on my fake face or whatever. If that's happening to you, you might be finding yourself in a situation where you are quiet cracking. The other thing I think about for this is people that are their mood starts to decline on Sundays. Like some people call it the Sunday scaries. And so you're fine. You at church, worship in the Lord, worship. But then by like 6 o'clock, you're like, what's wrong with me? Why I feel like this? What's going on? It might be because on the inside, you've been quietly cracking about the way you feel about being a woman of color in the workplace. And that's what quiet cracking is. It's not dramatic. It's not, I quit. It is this subtle internal deterioration. So just thinking about the wearing away of your morale, your connection, your excitement about how you're showing up in the workplace, creativity, your confidence about how you're showing up in the workplace. So did I give a good enough definition there? What
Yeah,
you think?
it's starting to click, right? It's clicking a little bit better. It's clicking because, we talk about sometimes things like burnout and compassion fatigue. And so to me, it's a little bit different than those things because it's really more about your core, right? Like
I
your
agree.
like, am I capable of managing, handling? Um, so I just think it's a really interesting idea because while the quiet quitting motif is what's been going around, like people half doing work basically, or just
Mhm.
doing the bare minimum,
Mhm.
we don't do that.
Who is we? For those that are going to be listening and haven't seen us on YouTube, who is we?
Primarily women of color that's not what actually happens, right? So what the research is saying is that we continue to show up. We
Right.
continue to go all out. We continue to perform. It's like if you've been, if you've been overlooked for a promotion, we're not like, "Oh, I'm just going to give up and move on." No, we go harder. Like we double down.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And I think that's, kind of why this is kind of making sense because as Black women, a lot of times what happens, the breaking down, the burning out, that
Mhm.
feels like a failure to us. So we'll just keep on going to the fire. We'll just keep on trying and doing more and more. So it makes sense that there is a lot more quiet cracking. It just wasn't a topic that I had heard, like a phrase that I had heard before.
Here's the thing I love about us and hate about us, and it is the fact that we will not quit. It is the fact that when the thing is burning down, we're just looking for, can I get down on the ground and still breathe? Like, you know what I mean? It
Right.
is that cultural expectation and cultural acceptance of continuing to push harder and to keep going. And I love that about us that we are tenacious. Is that the right word? We have tenacity. So
Yeah.
tenacious,
Yeah, I
yes.
like that
We are
word. Yeah.
tenacious, that we are persistent, that we are resilient. I love that about us. But on the other hand, sometimes we don't know when enough is enough and when we need to change something about what's going on because we don't typically ask for help. And we
Mm.
definitely don't want to admit when something has become too much. We just don't typically do that. I don't think.
Yeah, I just don't think it's our first instinct, right? Like, it's not like here's kinda how it happens, right? So, if things are more stressful in your life, you feel especially, like, right now, right? So, I think the post that you shared, you kind of mentioned before was, like, all of the Black women who have recently lost their jobs. Like, there's
Yeah,
been
it's something like
300,000 Black
300,000 in
women
the last 6 months, yeah.
who have been laid off or downsized or what have you, and these are the same women who have been showing up. Like, they you don't some people believe that you get to the top very easily, but those of us who've, worked in the system understand that to get to the top, you did some stuff to get to the top. You
Right.
missed some of your kids' activities. You didn't show up at some family events. Like, you did a lot to be able to get to that place. And so part of your identity is wrapped up in who you are, at how you perform, how you show up, how you meet objectives, how you exceed objectives. So
Mhm,
to then have that just ripped away from you
mhm,
of no fault of your own is
mhm,
incredibly overwhelming. So I can understand why the cracking kind of shows up differently. And what I like about the term cracking is
mhm.
that it doesn't give the motif of like, well, you're just not doing anything anymore.
Right.
You can like, if you think about something that's cracked, oh, it can still hold something. It can
Oh,
still
absolutely.
be, holding things up, or it can still be, seemingly okay. It's lots of houses got cracks in the wall, but they ain't falling down.
Mhm,
But there's still something that is kind of a signal that something is going wrong, that something needs to be addressed. So some of the indicators that the research is saying is like emotional detachment or flatness,
mhm,
right? So you're there, but your emotions ain't.
mm.
A loss of initiative or motivation, reduce creativity. This is one that I think, particularly if you were like an artsy person or you really value your ability to like have words and be creative, like that would be incredibly difficult.
Right.
Um,
I think that
growing.
also includes problem solving too,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
when you're a
yeah.
creative person, you can come up with ideas for solutions for things, but I
Yes,
think when you're quietly cracking, maybe you used to be able to go and get that solution and come up with something, and it's just not there. It just feels like that's empty.
right, right.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to add as an advanced maternal age mom, a mom who had a baby later in life, I wanted to include you mentioned like you might have missed your kids' activities as you were going up that ladder or a family engagement as you were going up that ladder. But I think the other thing about that is you might have delayed childbearing because you were
My God,
so
my God.
focused on work and you were so committed to the team and doing what you wanted to do as far as the as your profession was concerned. Or you might have foregone a relationship. You felt like you were gonna eventually settle down, but did you really have time to commit to a relationship? And so I think that makes it even more harder for
Oh yeah.
people who are going through this right now because so much sacrifice has been shown for many of us women of color, high performing, elite performing women of color in the workplace. And then when you now come with a loss of a job or economic or job insecurity,
Hmm.
my goodness, are we on the struggle bus? And are we willing to look for help for that and to really admit it, to be aware of it, to admit it, and then to look for help for it? I think are all big deals.
Yeah, and why when you mentioned that, the other thing that came to mind is as so many women have lost their position, it then puts that much more pressure on the women who haven't, right?
Oh, isn't that a good point? Yeah.
So like, oh, I didn't lose my job. I better be grateful. I better keep showing up. I better work harder. Yeah, they downsized half my team, but I'm still expected to do the same amount of work, and I'm gonna keep trying. Like at a certain point, you gonna crack. Like
But here,
it's a natural thing.
let me throw some more fire on it. Let me throw some more fire.
Oh god.
So yes, your workplace bestie got let go. Now you don't even have your workplace bestie.
And let's talk about that
I
because,
mean, your workplace bestie gone.
You're
Everybody gotta have a workplace bestie.
you got to have, and I think for a lot of us being the only one or one of very few,
Right.
and you know that there's maybe only a few people that feel really safe. And here's the thing, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. A lot of people right now don't feel very safe. And you don't like, so if you in a corporate space or in a space and you thinking to yourself, did you watch that funeral or whatever? Like you're looking at people a little side eye because you're not exactly sure. What did there was somebody that posted something like this about like what it feel like there needs to be a name for this phenomenon of watching people who you thought you were aligned with show you that they're not aligned with you. Like there's got to be
Ooh!
some type of a phenomenon that is. And when you're quiet cracking, as you're trying to hold all the things together, and you're looking at what should be your support network and not feeling supported, I mean, it's something to be said.
I thought about that. I thought about that, and here's what I thought. I thought about the emotions that accompany that, blatant invalidation
Mm,
of our experience.
yeah.
I think the two things that are opposites can be true at the same time, but most of the time we are on the side of that conversation where we are invalidated over
Oh,
and
uh-huh.
over and over and over again. And that is so hard. And I think that's the thing that's why we started the Love You to Life podcast.
Mhm,
Because we
mhm.
wanted to create a space, we wanted to have a conversation where you are safe to talk about all the things that are going on for us right now in this season and time in this world. Like, how are we being affected by it? And because we love you to life, we gonna always come with some suggestions for what you can do if you find yourself um in the situations that we're describing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think once that workplace bestie is let go, not only are you adding on all of her work or feeling compelled to work harder, but now you don't have that person day in and day out that's right there with you that you felt understood by, that you felt accepted by, that you felt loved by. And that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. And I think, guys, this is not one of those podcasts where we come with um a hot fire solution because it might be like I think this is one of those issues where it's complex and it may not be a checkbox where it's like, oh, I did that and now it's gone. Because
Right.
we're really talking about different pieces. We're talking about your identity. We're talking about how you view yourself in the world, how you your personality, your finances, your family, your relationships. We're talking about so many different things that this probably, if you are feeling quiet, cracky, it may feel like it's coming in one area, but chances are it's really coming from a lot of different areas. So as we're talking through some of the things that we would say to you if you were in front of us as a client, understand that this may not be in the immediate like, "Whoo, that fixed it all," that we would love for you to have. This might be
Right.
like, "Oh, that's slightly better than it was." That's a minor improvement, but over time, it gets better because the cracking didn't happen immediately. Like, the cracking is an overtime thing, so understand it may not be an instantaneous solution.
We
So
don't have that today, but we're gonna help, but we don't have that today. And I think this may be one of those conversations we'll have to keep having because there's
yeah,
so many layers to it and so many different parts of it that need attention that we won't even dare try to like do it justice in just the 30 or 40 minutes that we'll spend talking about it today. But I think the other part about that is that we wanted to just improve your awareness because my
absolutely.
thing from my good sisters, my good loving sisters, the thing that
Mhm.
I want to Cal, I just have to pause for my sisters. I have to pause.
You gotta pray.
You
You know?
I just wanted to and here's the other thing, because our bras can be found here too. But
Oh, yeah, yeah,
think our bras can be found here too, so I'm not leaving them out. But I do wanna say that I think and I do think this applies to both brothers and sisters for sure, that we are late in our self-awareness. Like, we can go and go and go and go and go so long and never really know or acknowledge that something's different, that something's changed, that we are depleted, that we
mm,
are tired, that we're not showing up the way we used to. And I think I want us to improve our self-awareness in that regard so that we can
Mhm.
ask for help sooner, so that we can take action faster, so that we can validate our own selves and our own experiences, even if someone else doesn't. But I think that we are very slow, very late in doing that. Like, as a therapist, I will never ever forget how many times I will be talking to a sister and say, I think you're depressed. What you're
Mm.
describing is depression. And she would cry and be like, not me. Uh-uh. I'm not the depressed one. Can't be me. And like shocking. And I'm like, all this stuff you described to me, you didn't think it was depression? No.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, and can we just talk about this for a minute? I know this is not the mental health podcast, but can we stop for a minute? Because I do think there's a space where, specifically talking about people of color, I don't think that the DSM was written for us. And
Oh,
so I don't think that most people of color see themselves in the DSM.
uh-uh. No.
So when we're talking about the experiences that we have, sometimes we do not label them. And the label is necessary to normalize that this is not what it should be. Not because
Right.
we want you to be feeling like you're crazy, but because we want to acknowledge it. Like I could distinctly remember having a session with, and it was an intake session with the home based client years and years ago. And sis was rattling off the trauma. I mean, rattling it off and blaming and simultaneously blaming herself because she was now the quote unquote offending parent in this situation because of some domestic violence that she had against her baby daddy. But she was blaming herself for being in this situation where she put her child in jeopardy and not acknowledging the fact that her trauma had just been swept under the rug by people for years. And I'm like, pause.
Pause.
We're not gonna just speed bump over this thing. We're gonna talk about, what how was that experience? And I ended up not being her long-term therapist. Like I just was doing the intake, but I'm like, oh, this needs and I'm like, in this assessment, like we need to make sure that this is clear because and it was clear to me that this was an adult woman who had a
Right.
job, who was functional in lots of ways,
Yeah.
but had never named the experience that she was having. So
Yeah.
if we give you nothing today, if you don't walk away today with a huge wrap it up in a bow solution, I just want you to have a name for that experience that you're having. And sometimes the name is in DSM and sometimes it's not. But if you're feeling that, like, to me, it's that unsettled feeling that people have right now, where it's just like, I just feel, you can't even really put a word to it sometimes.
Mhm.
I just want you to have some words for that.
Right. And so, just for reference, the DSM is the Diagnostical Statistical Manual of Disorders. So that's where your psychologist, your counselor, your psychiatrist is going to look at that book, and it is so thick, y'all. If you're looking at us on the YouTube, you'll see how big I'm going here. But it
Inches.
has so many pages in it, where the symptoms are there that will explain, if there is a disorder to be diagnosed. So yes, a lot of our stuff is not in there, and piggybacking on that, I think that is part of the reason that we have perpetually still not validate our own experiences,
Right.
because in so many places we have not been validated. We just pick up where that's left off because we haven't had a place to go many times where we were going to find that validation. We haven't learned how to validate ourselves. Well, here we are going to validate you. We're going to validate your experience and acknowledge it, and we want you to also do the same thing and improve and increase your self-awareness.
Yeah, and back to the self-awareness point. I think
Yeah.
what I want us to also do, and we really have done this, so I'm gonna say like the sisters in our household, like in our family, right, have done this in this recent season around our mother needing a place to live. Like it was time for us to kind of make some adjustments in her
An aging mother.
housing
Yeah.
situation. And the cultural response to this would be she moving in with one of us. Like that would be the cultural response. But when we looked at what we wanted her experience in this season of her life to be, and
Correct.
what we want our own individual experiences in this season of our lives to be, we looked for all of the options that were available.
Right.
And so sometimes that self awareness is hard because we don't ever pause long enough to say, does it have to be this way?
Right.
could it be something different? And so that was like, I went to various different locations. Like, could it be this? Could it be this? Could it be that? And so you start looking like, oh, I don't want that. And then you're like, oh, that's nice. And you start to get some ideas. But for a lot of us, as we're cracking, we're just assuming there is no alternative, and
Mm.
there honestly could be. And that doesn't mean that it's an easy alternative because the options that we came up were not necessarily seamless, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. It just might mean like, hey, I'm willing to do this work in this way to have this outcome.
Right.
And if I didn't at least stop to see what was available to me, I wouldn't have even known about that. And I think there's a lot of times when, because we just show up, get it done,
And get it done
hold it
well.
done, and hold it down, right? Back to the DSM for 5 seconds. Some of those things in there be like, "Well, are you having difficulty getting to work?" How many of us just don't go to work? Like, we're getting trouble getting out of bed. How many of us just not getting up? Like, it's just not. So some of that stuff, it just doesn't, like, we're thinking about it, we're like, "I could never." First of all, you could. That's not the way we were culturally normed. And so it's important. Sometimes we'll call it like countercultural living or countercultural experiences. I think you can still have your culture. You just gotta, put your own little flavor on it. So in my
Mm.
culture, my mama might live at the assisted living and I go by and visit her because she loves getting her meals, her 3 squares of meals served to her on a silver platter. She loves that. And I'm moving and shaking in a different way. So, and for the record, sometimes what we thought was not the right thing or was not even possible or we could never ends up being so much better than we ever thought it could be.
I agree with that too. And so what you're describing there is when I'm talking to my coaching clients, I'm talking about them giving themselves the permission to pause.
Mhm.
Like, so many times we are acting like everything is on fire, that this has to have
Mm-mm.
an immediate comprehensive solution at this moment, and most of the time, that is not the truth. Most of the time, you can give yourself permission to pause, to look at all of the options, to survey all of the options, to play around with them, to investigate them, to research them, to learn about them, and then make an educated decision. But
Right.
many times for us, we are so pre-programmed
Right.
culturally and in our family systems to just rush out and do what's always been done that
Right.
we don't give ourselves permission to pause. So my clients know, my coaching clients know that one of the things when we're in a coaching session and they're having some kind of situation that they need to figure out, something that they're working on, I am going to encourage them to give themselves permission to pause.
Right.
And then after that pause, we can go from there.
Right.
So that awareness and identification is really what we're talking about, is being able to be aware of what's going on to identify how something is affecting you. We did give you one. We gave you the start. We gave you the start to a solution
Well,
from
I think that's a good start. I think that's a good start. So that's
right,
definitely the first piece of the puzzle is
right.
being
Aware.
aware.
Mhm. Now,
And
go ahead.
well, yeah, what's the next pause? What's the next one?
The next one is repair and reconnection. I think that one's a little
Mm.
bit tougher because sometimes when you make a black woman mad, she don't want to repair nothing.
Listen, let me see.
She does
Let the
not want to
record
repair.
show.
She don't want to repair, reconnect nothing. Repair these. Never
Here's the thing. Of the two of us, she'll go farther than I will.
mind.
But once either one of us gets there, try it if you want to.
I mean, it's just, and so here's the thing. I think repair and reconnection looks a lot of different ways because
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes we don't have the trust with our colleagues in the workplace to even be honest with them about how we're feeling,
right.
right? So really, sure, if you think you're in a situation where you can talk to people about what's going on and you have some data, some proof that's going to be a safe environment for you to do so, well, by all means, go ahead and do that. But I think the other part about it is the internal repair and reconnection, and
Mhm.
that's really where I wanna spend my time thinking about is the internal repair and reconnection. And so the repair looks like, to me, what we were alluding to earlier, which is identifying that something is off.
Right.
Right? And when I say off, I'm not just talking about something is off in your current way you're showing up in the workplace, what if you're quiet cracking, but also about like the way you have believed, the limitations that you've imposed upon yourself, the ways in which you have created your playbook for your life might need some repair and some reconnection to whom? To your own self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reconnect to your own self. Like, what is important to you? What matters most to you? When do you feel good? When do you feel refreshed? What do you need? What help? Why are you looking like that? Y'all can't see her. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, you're not gonna see us. But every other week, the podcast will drop on YouTube. She's making a face at me. What is that for?
Because I'm sitting up here laughing because I'm sitting up here laughing about the fact that I lied to myself for 20 years and said I liked cooking and I don't. And I'm just we had this conversation
What?
before we started the podcast, y'all, about how we don't neither one of us really wants to cook
I
anymore,
don't.
right? But I can remember, when you sit in those events and you're like, "Oh, tell us about yourself. My name's Calvalyn. I love to cook and I love recipes and all this stuff." And I'm like, I don't like to cook. I like to eat. Like I wanted to eat. I just so happened to have been at the time married to somebody who didn't want to cook, and I happened to not have the money to buy food I wanted, and so I had no choice. But like, I could go the rest of my life and never cook again. I could. But when you were talking about like repairing for within ourselves, like what do I actually want to be doing? Like I don't want to spend hours in the kitchen. What would I actually want to be doing? It
Mhm.
wouldn't be in the kitchen. It
Mm-mm.
like, oh, I really do like being creative. I really do enjoy like arts and crafts and clothing and like all these different things. Like, oh, that's what I would really rather be doing with my time. Sometimes it's hard for us. Like people talk about self-care, they don't really know what self-care is. They just think about
Mm-mm.
bubble baths and candles because they don't remember what they actually enjoy.
And let me tell you something. You reach a certain place in your profession where some of that is not like for pleasure anymore. Okay? I have to show up a certain way because of the work that I do. So I'm going to have to get that manicure and that pedicure every 2 weeks regardless. So no, it's not like that self-care at this point. It is a part
Yeah.
of maintenance. It's
Yeah.
really what so I think so many of us are even some of the things that we used to go to that might have been that experience are not even that anymore and we're not even paying
Mm,
attention to that.
that's a good point.
Right?
That's a good
So we're
point.
not even paying attention to that. So when you talk about the cooking, sure, you were cooking out of necessity. We
Right.
didn't get a chance to evaluate at the time. We didn't take the permission to pause at the time to ask you, is this really how you wanted to spend your time in your family dynamic? It was
Right.
just what somebody had to do and you were the one doing it.
Right.
Right? So I think a part of that again is still it's like I want everybody who's listening to me to pay attention to themselves.
Mhm.
That's really what I want. Pay attention to yourself. There's a video. I wish I knew where it was. It's a little girl. She's so cute. She's in the back seat and she's trying to put her seatbelt on. And the man asked her, does
I
she
think I
have
know what you're talking about.
help? Right? He asked her, does she need some help? And she says, take care of yourself. And
Mm.
so, I appreciate that from her. She's saying, "Hey, I got this. I can look after me. I can take care of this for me." And I just want some of us to do that, to pay attention to ourselves and what we need and how we feel about the different experiences that we're having. So yes, when I get my nails done and I get my pedicure, I enjoy it, but please don't let nobody tell you that at this point in my lifestyle that this is something that is just refreshing for me. Sometimes it's not.
Right.
Sometimes it's like, dang, I gotta stop in what I'm doing right now and go get my nails done because I don't have any more time this week to get it in, and I really need to get them done by whatever day or whatever, you know? So I think that we need to be asking ourselves, what really does fill me up? When is my
Right.
cup full? And what activities and experiences are doing that for me?
And I'm gonna say something that's probably rude, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Oh my gosh. Rude. What?
And I'm not talking about your
Ugh.
kids either. I'm talking about you. Okay.
Okay, we're
Your
listening.
kids experience, like you can't be like, I just do everything for my kids. Anything my kids want.
Cal, is that how they sound? That's how they talking? They
I'm
keep
just
it for their
saying,
kids. That's
if
what they have.
you can't tell me what you like, but all you can tell me about is what your kids like, and I'm speaking to somebody who has done that. Listen, this is about you. I don't care whether you got mama, sister, daddy, brother, cousin, children. This is about you. And you cannot make your whole life taking care of other people.
Right.
and prioritizing other people's interests and desires. You spend it all weekend running Johnny back and forth to the AAU tournament. When was the last time you did anything you wanted to do? You signed him up for another camp. When was the last time you did anything that brought you joy?
Right.
You're
And I
cracking at work because you have the demands of that place on you, and then you basically get to turn your children into your next boss, massa, and then you don't have nothing, just nothing.
I
I'm
think
done.
that's a really good point. When you think about the quiet cracking, we do have exactly what's happening in the workplace and the pressures that some of us feel there. But then we have that if I come home and home is also not an outlet for me, then how do I ever get to refill? How do I ever replenish?
And we just have normalized that in order to be a good mom right now, right? Like that's
Mhm.
the expectation. The expectation is that if you're the best mom, I saw somebody and I tried like I play this game with myself, guys, where I'm like expanding my horizons
Oh boy.
and also like trying to check myself, right? So I saw a mom, she was taking her daughter to, I think it was like some type of a camp, and the girl was going to be there for 3 days, right? And so it was one of those camps that was on a college campus, and she basically made this child's little temporary dorm room for the 3 days that she was there. She decorated it for 3 days.
Wow.
And I
Interesting.
thought to myself, okay, she has the right to do this. This is
She
her
does.
child,
She
and
does.
that's fine. But I
Mhm.
think at the same time, sometimes we put a lot of effort into being the perfect mom on social media or the perfect mom at the birthday party, and we hate our lives.
Right.
So
Oh,
I don't
boy.
know if that's her story. I'm not saying that's her story. I'm not projecting, but it seemed like to me if you can go to the store and or Amazon or wherever she went to order cherry sheets and cherry pillowcases and cherry night lights and a skincare routine and the child got Chick-fil-A on the way to the camp, and the girl was off at camp, and she's decorating her r what did you do for you today? What did you do that for you today?
That's a really good question. I think, when you're looking at a traditional schedule of an 8 to 5, 9 to 5 situation, and then you got kids to deal with after that, you really do want to ask yourself, honestly, what did you do for yourself? And for those who don't have children, you might be sitting on a board, you might be taking care
Mhm.
of an aging parent, you might be, just working on your own physical body, like, trying to feel better in your own skin in some way. I do think we need to be asking, what are you doing for yourself day to day? And are you on your own schedule? Because I think it sets us up many times for the quiet cracking. It makes
Right,
it easy for us to be in the workplace and put so much pressure on ourselves because that is the only place where we're originally finding some level of success or some pleasure originally. But the thing
right.
about this that I think the quiet cracking, the thing that about it that I am the most intrigued by is the gradual of it,
Mhm.
which I think is it shows up in so many places in our lives that we are gradually getting out of alignment. Gradually, little moment by moment by moment, getting off track until the place where it's this kablooey, and
Right,
then we're like, my life is what is happening to my life? But
right.
it's been these gradual small things. Now, I got to go to the Bible. I got to go to the Word
Here
every
she
so
go.
often.
Pull out the
Every so
scripture.
often, I have to go to the Word. I cannot tell you where it's at, but if you have a concordance or you have internet, look it up. The Bible said it's the small foxes that spoil the vine. So what that means, it means it's little bitty things that erode us, that
Right,
erode our marriages, that erode our physical health, that erode our experience, that erode our pleasure of being in the workplace. It is the little microaggression. It is the little time when you wanted an accolade and didn't get it. It is
right,
the little time when you thought that maybe you might be the one getting a raise or a bonus and you got passed over. But it is the repetitiveness of it, and
right.
so we can understand that. What was that book, James Clear, Atomic Habits? And he
Mhm.
talked about taking those small habits day after day after day after day and
Right,
how that would be beneficial over time, right? If you do this small thing 63 times, we're now building a habit for you that's going to be a healthy thing. But
right,
we don't think about that on the other side. that
Right.
63 times of something negative happens, something small happening, whether it's in your marriage, in your body, in your health, whatever, is doing the same thing.
It
It
is
is the cumulative what is it? The cumulative
cumulative. Mhm.
yeah, yeah, the cumulative effect of that is significant. And
Right.
so when I'm thinking about that person in the workplace who has sacrificed, who has missed holidays or worked on weekends or come in early or stayed late or tolerated, questionable treatment or questionable conversations because of not wanting to push the um what's the word? What's the phrase I'm looking for? Push the envelope. Like
Mhm.
who doesn't want to be the
Doesn't
person who's
rock the boat.
yeah, don't wanna rock the boat. Like,
Mhm.
it's all of that that gets us to this place of this person quietly cracking, and we
Right.
want you to avoid that. Now, if you're there, we're giving you 2 ways that you can start to come out of it. That's for number 1, being aware of it, being able to identify it, and then the other one is to repair and reconnect to yourself,
Right.
right? So those are 2 steps that we can take to get you back on track, but for those of you that might not be there, but you feel like you're on your way there, we're giving you the permission to pause
Correct.
and ask yourself some questions about this experience and whether or not you wanna keep going that way.
Yeah, and I also think this is a great place to also talk about the importance of having a future focus
Love
and
it.
recognizing the importance of thinking in terms of growth. And there are going to be times where the situation, the environment that you're in is not what's going to be best for your growth. And
Right.
you have to give yourself permission to look around for what's going to be, the best thing for you. But I definitely think there's whether it is refreshing, your resume or um finding some space and opportunity for growth outside of that work environment that's no
Right.
longer supporting you or picking up a hobby, picking up like back in the old days, people used to have things that they did. Like I think about like going to the community center or picking up puzzles or reading books. Like those things are not just like right now, people I work with therapists who are in private practice, right? And so that one of the very common things that people say is if there's a training or workshop, are there CEUs? Are there CEUs? Mhm.
Oh.
And it's like, so what if there isn't?
Right,
Like maybe you just want to learn something for the
right.
sake of learning.
If
Maybe
this
you want
topic
to
just interests you, you just wanna
you
learn
just are
about it. That's
interested in
okay.
it. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having it, having a learning opportunity to do double duty, but there is value in learning just for the joy of the learning. There is
Right.
value in sparking that part of your mind that is, getting something new or and something I love sometimes is like taking a training I that's kind of almost not leveling me up just to be in the midst of people who
Mhm,
care about the same topic that I care about, who are
mhm.
passionate about the same topic that I'm passionate about. Because if you are maybe one of one or one of three in your environment who doesn't care, and you have this whole environment, but that doesn't care about the things that you care about, just being out of that environment is an opportunity for you to grow and bloom and think about what it could be like in the future. So, that growth and that, kind of future focus of like, what's next for me? Because
Mm.
one of the things that happens while you're quiet cracking is that you feel hopeless. And there's an old quote that we used to share, we share aloud, like hope is a fuel for humanity. You need to have hope in order to feel alive and to maintain your quality of your mental health. And so if you're not feeling hopeful and you're kind of
Then
looking
what?
around like things just keep getting worse, every day is something new.
Mhm,
You've got to find ways to incorporate that growth and future focus. And even
mhm.
if it doesn't come with a CEU, there's probably some value in there for you.
Yeah. The other thing about the future focus is just also identifying who you want to be in your future. How
Mm.
do you wanna show up for yourself 10 years from now, 5 years from now, even 1 year from now? How do you want your retirement to look? And that's not just maybe about, the financial piece of it, but how do you
Yeah.
wanna show up day to day? Like, what are you thinking, you know? How do you want your life to look when you are whatever your future looks like, when you are a mom, when you are a wife, when you are a entrepreneur, if you decide your corporate time comes to a close and now it's time to start your business, whatever. Like, what does that future self think about this experience and what does that future self need so that you can thrive when you're there. And we know that here's the thing I love about anticipation. The research shows that anticipation, being excited about something that's not here yet, produces the same emotion or better as actually experiencing it.
Yep.
So when I think about vacay and I get excited about vacay, I loved recently I loved a trip to Hawaii and I loved a trip to the Virgin Islands. Loved it. Rich Charles loved it. Just thinking about that is producing a great chemical on the inside of my body. Like the idea of going back to that place, right? And doing that again. So anticipation matters. So even if you would just get future focused and start to anticipate an outcome that you're pleased with,
Yeah.
then that will give us a boost so that you can actually get through this season of time where you're working or help you to make the decision about whether or not it's time to make some more moves.
Yeah, and I think this weekend I took my daughter to Chicago for her birthday. And y'all, I don't ever want to drive. And I
Never.
never want to drive in Chicago. But she had made up her mind that this is really what she wanted to do for her sweet 16. She didn't really care about the party. She didn't care about the gifts. She's like, I just want to go thrifting. And probably the third thing, I don't ever like I'm over thrifting. Like I thrifted thrifting is right there next to cooking. Right here, they two and two. Thrifting and cooking, y'all, they neck and neck for what I don't never need to do again. But the anticipation that she had to go on this weekend was worth it, right? Like, you're
Right.
talking about I mean, the child did a major level senior thesis research project to choose where she wanted to go. And then she went, and she enjoyed every minute of it. And I to be honest, she's one of those kind of kids that's super, super grateful. So I would imagine that the joy of this will probably last her until her next birthday, right? So many of us don't understand part of why we are quiet cracking is we don't have anything in our life that we're looking forward to.
Mm,
Just you wake up, you know it's gonna be another day. You go to
my God.
bed, you know it's gonna be another night. It's like nothing is there's not anything worth looking forward to. And there's value in the looking forward to it. Even if it's not the best vacation of your life, there's value in that. And I think we sometimes, especially when it feels like, you just got so much to do. Everything feels like one more thing to do. We think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It'll take me so long. It'll take no. There is inherent value in the
Yes.
planning and the preparation and the
Yes.
anticipation and the
Yes.
execution of that. And even as you're sitting here right now and saying, in the reflection of it
Yes.
after the fact.
Yes.
And so many of us be like, I took when people like, she never took no vacation. He never went nowhere. She never took a day off. That's not good.
That is not the flex.
That's not a plan. Like it's okay to say, like, hey, I'm looking forward to this day off, or I'm looking forward to this week or this thing. Like I want you to really sit here and think as you're listening to us, what are you looking forward to?
Right.
And if you don't have something that you're looking forward to, I want you to pull out your planner and put something on there that you can look forward to in the next 7 days. Now, maybe you can't take a vacation in the next 7 days, but you can do something within 7 days that you can look forward to. I don't care if you're taking an afternoon off and leaving the kids at daycare. I don't care if you're going into work an hour late and going to get your favorite coffee, whatever it is, but I want you to put something on your calendar that you can look forward to within the next 7 days.
And so for those of you who struggle with this kind of thing of like identifying that future focus or building up that anticipation, I'm going to encourage you to get on Pinterest. Make a Pinterest
Mm.
board or I really love doing that in my TikToks. I have so many little collections of folders in my TikTok. So just Google just type something in the search bar and save the videos that come up about some experiences that you want to have. If you want to create a ski trip, if you want to redo your pantry, if you want a new car, if you want to try a new hairstyle, I don't care. It needs to be something that you want to do that gives you that feeling. Go ahead and do that because what we're doing now is that last point that's going to help us in the quiet cracking, and that's creating a system. A
Right.
system for you to not quietly crack. So you are aware of what's going on. You can identify it. You're going to repair and reconnect to yourself. You're going to get future focused. Like, does this work for me long term? And then we're going to systematize this so that hopefully it will help you to not be found here again. Right.
Right.
Or to become more aware earlier so that you can take different options. But yes, you got to have some systemic support in there. You got to figure out how to make a system out of this. Is this something that you need every day? Is this something you need every week? Is it something you need monthly, quarterly? And once you know that about yourself, do it. Cal will tell you right now, I'm going to need a trip at least once a quarter. I said what I said. Now that I got my bun, we have to see how that looks,
Mhm.
right? It's a little bit different. She has gone on a vacay with us, but vacay with the baby is not really a full vacay. But um, even though we took the in-laws with us, not really a full vacay. However, it helped. It helped to have some pool time and some beach time. It did help. So, but I'm the kind of person who for years now, I don't know how long, probably the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years, I've probably taken a trip a quarter. I'm going somewhere. If it's 3 days, 4 days, whatever, I know that I need that.
Right.
And so it's systematized, right? And we want you to do that about some other things too to help you to not crack. And here's the thing, we're talking about this right now for on an individual level, like if you are identifying yourself as that person, but some of the work that we do is corporate too, and we
Mhm.
go in and we help organizations when they're having these kinds of issues. And I want to say to anybody who is in an organization right now who's listening to us, if you have beautiful Black women working for your company and they are quietly cracking, I want you to know that your company's cracking too,
Period, poo.
because we show up and we take charge. We do the work. We are the most educated people in the room, sometime in the building, often, right? And so the work that we put in is undeniable. And if you lose us, you are losing out big. It is a replacement that you're not going to be able to something you're not going to be able to fix and replace. So if you think that you've got women in your organization who are quietly cracking, you can call us for help and we can help you with that too.
And on the flip
Flip.
side,
What's the flip?
always bet on the black.
Oh, you
Always bet on the black, because
listen
if
to
you
me
wanna double it
too.
down if you wanna
Oh my
double
God.
down,
Oh my
betting
God.
on us is always good for business, all right? I
You
mean,
said bet on black. I don't know that you've
listen
ever.
here, I'm just saying,
I really feel like falling
invest
out this year. What? Bet on black?
invest
You're so
invest
crazy.
in Black women. Yeah, listen, we have both worked with Goldman Sachs in their small business operations, right? I am a
Yeah.
member of the inaugural cohort of the 1 million Black women Black in business program. If
Uh-huh.
Goldman Sachs said Black women
Mm-hmm.
are so important to small businesses in this country that we're going to put millions on their heads to give
Every
them
year.
that.
Yep.
I'm just telling you, nobody
Mm-hmm.
has. So if you are in a corporate space and you're hearing this podcast or somebody has sent you this podcast, it's worth investing in Black women and their well-being, because when Black women rise, baby, we all going to the top.
We all rise. Are y'all not paying attention? When Black women rise, we all rise. And so let's also pause right there and just say this. Hey, sis. Hey, sis. If you missed anything else that we said today, you bad. That's what she just said. I'm just going to read in between the lines. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in vernacular. You bad. You like that. And so you might be quietly cracking right now in your workplace. You might be trying to figure it out. Maybe you've had some immense disappointment in your profession and in your climb up the ladder, but all is not lost,
Mm-mm.
because when you bet on black, I'm using your when she said bet on black. When you bet on black, it's all good because we like that. And that's not to say that nobody else is not like that, but I just know my people. I know how we show up. And I'm betting on us all the time.
I feel like that's a great place to end. Is that a
All
great? Is
right.
that,
Well,
that
we
good
love
enough?
y'all to life. We love y'all to life.
So
Well, y'all,
we're wrapping up. Is that a wait a minute? Are we doing? Is that an outro?
I was just writing a little song. It's okay. Never
An
mind.
outro with hand clapping? You need a? Would you have a tambourine
We
too?
love y'all to life. I said we love y'all to life. We love. Never mind.
We love y'all.
We love
We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. No quiet cracking.
No quiet crack.
Bet on Black.
Bet on black. Bet on black.